Hi,
Sure.
Atharv. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good too. Okay, for our readers and for our audience, can you introduce yourself and give us some insight about your book?
Yeah, sure. So basically, I'm a student. Okay, first of all, I'm Atharva Singh. I reside in Varanasi, India, of course. And I'm a student right now, 16 years old. And I'm thinking to pursue physics and mathematics as my higher education. And that is what my book is about. So I have recently become an author. So you can say me a author. So as you can see, written by Atharva Singh. So this was my first experience being an author, and I would like to thank BriBooks for this because self-publication as a student is tough in India, and that was all I need to say.
All right, that's great. And this was your first book that you have written, right?
Yes, indeed, this was my first book.
So how did did you always want to write a book or, just the opportunity came up and you thought of writing a book?
Okay, so there's an interesting story behind this. When I was like in my first or second class, 6 or 7 year, I saw my papa reading some books and get inspired and they casually ask, Papa, how can I publish book? And he used to laugh and tell me things that once you grow up, you can write books. And that was instinct in my mind. And then the COVID period hit us, all of us, in 2020, where I was in class six. Yes, I was in class six. And then I got an idea about BriBooks and some other platforms that you give us this facility or opportunity to publish our book. But I didn't give a second thought to write a book myself. But here I am in class 10th and I'm writing this book. I'm also currently working on my second book that will be published in a year or so. This is a thin book, a one day read something,
Correct.
but huh. So the book I'm currently working is on like around 200 to 300 words, which would be like a thick book. And yeah, that was all I need to say about me being author.
That's great. Okay, so I actually read your book. It's a very interesting book. And when we read the topic, the title of the book, it says The Echoes of the Red Dust. So it gives me an
Hmm.
idea. I mean, even if I would not read this book basically, I would still get an idea that this has something to do with, either Mars or something with the, universe or something of that sort. So and you have told me that, you're interested in physics and mathematics. So definitely
Hmm.
this book has to have some elements of that as well. However, I mean, the entire idea about, writing a book related to something like this, how did that emerge in your mind? I mean, you must have thought something about the entire storyline, the plot of the books. How did that
Hmm.
come?
Hmm. Hmm. So okay, as we had the physics and mathematics part, most of my friends are not interested into like deep studying, research and things. They want to have fun in their life. I too want fun in life. Who doesn't? So basically, they are not into physics and mathematics. So me being a student of Sunbeam School, Daitara, thank you Sunbeam School, Daitara, for every opportunity they gave me. In Sunbeam School Daitara, we refer it as SSL. So in SSL, we have a culture of having a book published on your name. So you will see class one, two, three students having published their own book by their parents, of course. So it is a great culture in our school, an initiative by school that they help us publish our book and they also promote pre-book. And yeah, this was all I need to say. And I would like to add on that this book, as you told, is related to Mars. So, Echoes of the Red Dust, this title was suggested to me by ChatGPT. So, thank you, ChatGPT, for that.
That's great. Very honest
Although the
answer,
content
however.
that was written was by me, I tried to copy it from ChatGPT, but that doesn't give a feeling to my book. So, the content inside this book is all written by me.
That's great. That's great. Okay. So then, how was your entire experience of, writing on BriBooks, or, there are different themes that you can choose, and now that you can also add your own
Yes.
images. So how was your entire experience while writing a book and becoming an author?
So first of all, coming back to the previous talk we had, Sunbeam School Edera has a brief, like if you talk about publishing a book in my school, the first recommendation is BriBooks. So that was where I first heard the name of BriBook from. Some of my other friends also use some other platform. I won't mention the name. I just gave it a try and just opened Brebook, signed up, and just wrote a small casual story just to see how the things work. Not this story, some other story which I haven't published, just to see how things works, and it was seemingly smooth. So first of all, I thought book writing would be something a very hectic task. I would need to like leave my studies as I'm in class 10th right now. I would have to leave like give my study less time rather than book. But this worked seemingly well. It did not take any of my like core time that I do in productivity and things. And yeah, the whole experience was smooth. There wasn't some technical things that a student won't want to get in, and it was very smooth.
And were there any challenges that you faced while writing a book?
Indeed, there was challenges. I scrolled through the whole YouTube how to write a nice book, and after getting all those content in my brain, I thought, let's leave all things, just let us write some book. So this is the third draft of the book that was finally published. So I had other two drafts which seemingly were not good, according to me and my parents and the people who I suggested. And also, I have this right here. So it is like uh, the video is opposite. So here it is written dedicated to my parents, both of them, because I can't choose. So my parents were the key motivation of writing this book, because they thought always that my writing skills are appreciable and I need to write something in the public domain. So my first book was dedicated to my parents, and I hope that I will keep writing more books in future.
Definitely. So, as I read your book, there is this main character called Ramakrishnan, and he's sort of, trying to either get information on something, or kind of
Yes, yes.
protect it. So, can you like share
Hmm.
a little part of your book, like what exactly are the readers they can, what are they getting into while they read?
Okay. So not spoiling my whole book, I will just
Correct.
share a little part of it. So,
Definitely.
so Rama Krishnan being the protagonist of this story. Also before that, this book is set in future, uh, 2178, and he is current at the point of writing book is he is currently 22 years, and his four grandfathers shifted to Mars on the program which was led by Elon Musk's son. So Elon Musk currently is working on a space program, SpaceX, of course. So there are spaceships which are being sent to test and all. So Elon Musk's son is working on that program, and he had those first 10,000 people who would be sent in Mars and will be made a colony out of there. So Ramakrishnan's forefather one of those 10,000, and that is how he is in MIT now. Not that MIT that is in US, but Mars Institute of Technology. And he is a PhD student in astrophysics, and he is working and as a thesis, he is working on a planet named K1278b. So this is an exoplanet where eventually he found out there is some developed civilization who wants to contact Earth for some reasons, and that is how the story begins.
Yes, it's a very interesting read. And, I would definitely suggest readers to go check out this book. Is there any,
Thank you.
advice that you've, basically because you have written a book yourself, you have faced all of those challenges, you've overcome those, and you've finally published a book. So, is there anything that you would want to tell, budding authors or aspiring authors that they should keep a
Hmm.
note of while writing a book, especially if it's their first book?
So as you mentioned the keyword, the first book, so most of the uh, authors or the people who didn't become authors had one thing in common, that they overthought of their first book. So they try to make it something very perfect so that they can release it on the public domain. But what I, as a author who has recently become an author, will suggest that don't overthink about your content. The main thing is your idea and just to get started. So in physics, we have a term named inertia. So the higher the mass of the body is, the overthinking in this case, the difficult it is to move like in forward direction. So my first thing is to stop overthinking and do the actual work. So I had this, as I told, from class second, but I didn't give it a thought. It was 2023 initially when I thought of writing a book on BriBooks. And it went months by months. And after 6 to 7 months of giving a thought, I finally signed up. I haven't even signed up yet. I was just thinking to make a book and scrolling through whole YouTube, how to make a perfect book, how to make it viral, how to build preface, how to like write a perfect author intro and all. But finally, as I sat for a 2 month period, I completed the book, have the plot, have the main structure, and here is finally the book.
Correct. So your advice is to not give it too much thought, not to overthink about it, just start writing
Exactly.
and see flow.
Yes, exactly.
All right. And is there anything that you would want to share, like a personal experience also that, because you've already had an idea about how books are written because of what you said as your father was reading a book and you were intrigued about that idea.
Yes.
But now that you have actually become an author and you have sold a lot of your books, other people are reading your book, and they actually have a copy of your book that you can share with either your friends or family or schoolmates or whatever. So I mean, the entire experience of achievement that you at such a young age you have become an author yourself. So how does that feel? I mean,
That feeling is very, very, very good for a certain period of time. So it's been 3 months after I have published this book, and now it feels like a achievement that I had in past. And after going through all the process of making this book come to a physical copy, I've learned that our goal shouldn't be result oriented. It should be identity oriented. So the result is that I made this book, but if I had that goal-oriented vision, then I would have stopped on this book and never give a thought to make another book. It's like one time progress that I'm author now and that's it. Let's work on something else. But I went through identity oriented goal. So what I have become making this book is I got to learn new skills. I learned to copyright. I learned to make a good content. Although I was a good writer, but I enhanced my skills. I also learned the how to design this cover page. I also learned how to use AI as well, as this modern era is all about AI. So I would suggest that if you are doing anything, the first thing you need to do is to set your goal as identity oriented. What you become during the process, you need to love the process. And that was all I need to say.
that's great. Also, as I was reading your book, the first page that was written was about the author. And it says that, you're a quizzer and a debater, and you're obviously
Yes.
interested in mathematics and physics. However, now that, you've written a book, so it's a very definite question for me to ask if you are a reader yourself. If yes, then what kind of authors are you interested in reading?
So I was about to come to that point. So if you can see my bookshelf right there,
Yes.
there are about 80 books that me and my father have gathered in past 4 years, basically the COVID period.
Right.
So before COVID period, I myself wasn't a reader. My father is a geek reader since his childhood, and he has a library in himself in another room. So this is my personal library, some sort of library. So it began in 2021 when it was my birthday, 17th June, which has recently passed. So 17th June 2021, my auntie gave me a book, and um, here it is. So it is Atomic Habits by James Clear. So it is a very epic book in itself. And I have read it once, but I was just reframing and just revisiting the books and the notes that I have made in the book. So this was the beginning of this collection out there. And me as a reader has grown eventually. Currently, I read about 1 hour a day, and but when I was initially starting, it felt like something of a burden to do. But now it is like a habit, a automate task that once I wake up, I do my meditation and then 1 hour reading straight. And at night, I have another 30-minute reading session, and that is all Atharva as a reader.
And that also inspires you to get, better ideas to write your book, or
Ha,
select.
exactly. So the preface and the about author, I visited all my those books to see how the famous authors or authors that I follow used to write their preface and author, and that is how I was inspired making the first initial pages of my book.
That's great. So if you were to name just, for the sake of it, just one author that you love to read, who would that be and why?
Okay, so there are many authors, but as you mentioned that one author, I would say Ankur Warikoo is is an author and a person who I admire to its most. So there are scientists, if you can see right there, those are my main aspiration. I also have their books but they are not alive. The person who is alive and is my inspiration is Ankur Warikoo. He is a YouTuber, runs a business named Webvida and things. But he as an author is something very different. He adds humor to his book. So there are three books which he has read. So if you can see there, there is Make Epic Money,
Yes.
and just a second. Here is Do Epic Shit by Ankur Warikoo.
Yes.
And there is some other book known as Get Some Epic Shit Done, something like that, which I haven't read. So Ankur Warikoo as an author just kindles me, and I try to follow or just copy his ideas in my book. And that is who is my favorite author. But a favorite author of all time would be Nikola Tesla, and his book My Invention. So Nikola Tesla is right there.
Yes.
And so I love that person because why not? He is a wholesome person. He was a scientist, he was an author, he had a great personality. Gave powerful speeches, he had amazing books, so why not to follow him? And there are many other stories about him that is why I love him the most.
That's great. Also, you have said that you would want, in the future, you would want to invest yourself in mathematics and, physics itself. However,
Yes.
because, you've also written a book and you have the caliber to write more books. And as you've said that you're also working on your other book. So would you want to, in the future, kind of become an author and write about topics related to physics and mathematics, or not?
So like once you attain that level of knowledge in physics and mathematics, you need to give your knowledge out to the world.
Right.
So the physicists which I know, like Isaac Newton, Oppenheimer, Nikola Tesla, and Heidenberg and Planck, many other Max Planck, and many other scientists, they initially didn't write any book. They didn't have any interest in literature after all, but they just learned physics. They just had that theoretical aspect of physics and mathematics, and after they had certain benchmark of knowledge, they provided that content to the world. So that is how physicists and mathematicians come in the field of author, just to give their ideas out. Because in earlier times, nowadays we have internet and all. But in earlier times, the book was the only medium that you can uh, give out to the world your knowledge. So that is how all scientists came in the field of author. And me, after becoming an astrophysicist that I aim to become in future, will provide the world with some classic physics books, which those nerdy readers in the future, like Ramakrishnan, would read. And yeah, that was it. I would love to pursue author being an author and also learning physics and mathematics. So the main priority will be physics and mathematics. And just to describe the flow of my ideas and myself, I would write books.
That's great. It was great talking to you, Atharv.
Same on this side.
Okay. See you later. Bye bye.